Alright. Good, we're in. Alright, sorry about that, guys. We are now back in action. We had a few small tech problems there, but we have solved that issue now. So let's see if we are live. We are in fact live. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Bing! There we go. Ignore the chat. Yes, I am in fact wearing a shirt, so hopefully I don't lose that much money from YouTube. How are we today or tonight? Sorry for the wait there. Just to explain, not sure how much that was caught on the camera, but the way that the live stream works for YouTube is that there are two live streams on YouTube. The first one is stream now. So you basically push the button on your encoder and it streams right away. The second the second live stream is the events, and the event requires a second step. We have to preview it, then play the preview window in a separate window, and then you finally get around to doing it. So it's a pretty process. We've got it working now. So hello everyone, this is Archery Reflections number 16. I have my archery juice. It's very red today. This is the Calypso Paradise Punch Lemonade. I'm starting to get a big liking for these recently, and today being quite warm, it has been a pleasure to drink it. I've been hanging around Burgernomics lately, and they just released their pork katsu burger, and I'm a big fan of katsu, both pork and especially chicken. And I've been having chicken katsu pokebos, but now I'm having a go at the pork katsu burgers, and absolutely wonderful. It was a burger that had a pork katsu fillet, and then it had purple lettuce, had salted seaweed, the katsu sauce and mayonnaise. Very authentic. Win-win RJ fuel. Very nice. So that was my only meal of the day, which is not bad considering how much calories it would have. And I'll talk about food a bit later because that was one of the issues we had today. So the topic for today is an archery reflection, and the thing I did today was I did the club summer shoot. So we normally have a club competition every season, and we had a very small turnout, unfortunately. Last time we had a club shoot, we had around 10 people, which is an amazing turnout for a small club. We had around 6 today, I think, which is not bad actually. We had 3 bare bows, 1 veteran recurve, 1 compound, and I was the only recurve shooter, which is a bit of a shame. I would have liked to compete against some of our club recurve shooters. There's one particular who beat me last time. He's currently the best shooter in the club. I had long since kind of resigned my post as an actual decent shooter. Mostly because I spend most of my time coaching, instructing and all that. So now that I have taken a step back from the club duties as president and every other role, I've had more time to shoot, and I've basically restored my training routine. Not just now, but since a few years ago. I used to shoot like as many days as I could, and as of late I've been training like once or twice a week. Now for the last couple of weeks or months, I've been training probably 3 or 4 times a week. Now, that means that I still do my coaching instructing on Saturdays, but I also have time to shoot on other days of the week, and that's been absolutely crucial. We've managed to form a training group with 3 or 4 of us, and that regular practice is starting to pay off. And that's what I want to talk about today. The whole topic was the archery reflection to return to form. So today, I did a club shoot, and I did fairly well. No, like this is a spoiler alert right here. So I got my little funny shield. So I've got the recurve award. This is me coming first out of 1. So that isn't a huge bragging point, but nice to collect these. But the thing that impressed me the most today was this one. This is the handicap award. And there's a reason why I really was surprised by this. I'll explain the handicap system a bit later, perhaps. But I won the recurve, which is 1 of 1, and the handicap applies to everybody. So what did we do? And I'll show you what happened. So at the start of the year, I shot the state short range championship. I didn't plan to. I hadn't really prepared for it, and I was, let's say, I was injured. So I wasn't really injured. I was basically severely strained, shoulder strains. It was a bad idea to shoot the day before because I turned up to the state championship with no muscle power at all. I had zero stamina, zero endurance. It looked like I was this really shitty archer with like an overbowed, like, 40-pound bow I couldn't handle. I can shoot just fine, but just because of one day I just couldn't handle it. I was just like shotgunning the target. Absolute crap. But today I shot the same round for the club championship. So let me silence this lemonade. And it turned out quite well. I actually shot, I didn't feel ashamed of my shooting. I could have done a bit better, of course, but I had restored my confidence in shooting a regular round. That's been my goal for the past month or past year. So I want to show you, I don't normally do this, I want to show you a couple of scorecards because I am going to talk through a couple of things. Here we go. Hey, Streamception. Alright. So, actually, we'll go here first. This is my Archer Diary. This is all my events for the past, 4 years. And it's been up and down. I'll show this later. But I did 2 things this year. So, I've got the short range. And this is me coming out of a slump of not training and shooting. And that's today's shoot over here. Now, if I take a look, what am I doing over here? That's, I want, ooh, I might compare that later. Because we have, actually let's do this, because the 2016 Victorian Championships, I got a record low actually, so, where's the other short range? Here we go, okay, so I have several short range championships. This is, oh, there's no scorecard for this one, that's a shame. But for this one, I got I think my highest rating ever. There's one more at the club shoot, doesn't count here. So in 2015, I shot the 6900, 683 for 56.3 ratings. That's my kind of my peak. And then since then, it's been downhill. Like I haven't really achieved anything comparable since. It's all been low 40s and 30s, pretty dismal stuff. So nothing worth writing about there. Okay, so that is the current situation. Nothing too impressive, which makes sense. Now, if we go over to the 2016 state championships, and that's my very mediocre scorecard. And look, getting misses at 60 meters is pretty dismal. I don't know why I remember shooting poorly here. This was at Waverley City Archers. I'm normally quite decent at the Canberra round. But I guess I haven't been practicing. So in 2016, look at the scores here. It's 24th the first in, 36, 42, 31, 26. That's dismal for 60 meters. 50 meters, 41, 40, 36, 45, 37. Had a decent one at the 45 there, but a lot of them I miss here. Not sure what happened here. Actually, no, I think I remember this date. I think I was having a really bad time with my release. I think this is the first sign of my slump, and I really went downhill from 2016. Like I wasn't shooting properly. My release was very jagged, and there was no control. Really bad really bad round. So I was doing really well up to that point, but then suddenly this one round kind of shut me down. So this is 2016. Again, so and then for the 40 meters, which should be an easy distance, this is the large faced 40 meters, 44, 44, which is reasonable, 34, absolutely dismal. I must have, I remember now, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did a archery reflections after this tournament. I felt really bad about it, 41, 38, so overall, pretty bad round. So really in totals, distance totals, 159 for 60 meters, 199 for 50 meters, and 201 for 40 meters, and that's not a particularly good average all around. So total score 559 out of 900, and that was the 2016 state short range. I don't think I did a 2017 short. Let me double check this for a moment. Did I do a 2017 state short range? Because I might have sat out. I'm pretty sure. No, I didn't do it because I was club presidenting and I was going through a really hard time there. So I didn't do the 2017 one. So the last Canberra round, the last 6900 that I did was the 2018 state short range. So if we take a quick squeeze at that. So this is what I did at the start of the year. Now again, this is what I said before when I really misplanned this. Zero preparation. It was a last minute decision to join in the group and I thought, well, why not? So I was shooting basically with an injury. I had a shoulder strain for the whole day and just couldn't shoot well, and this was absolutely crap to me. So 60 meters, again, we see a lot of blues, blacks and misses. 34, 37, 36, 35, 36, very consistent but very low. 178 for the 60 meters. At 50 meters, we have a lot of, again, misses and whites and blacks. 40, 45, that's a decent end. Dropped that one there, but decent. 37, 26, dismal. 35 is meh. So the second end distance was 183, and at 40 meters, I actually did a pretty good decent job here. 40 meters is basically a big face, very close. It's like shotgunning it, so just point and click really. So that's some decent ends here. 42, 47, 52, 40, and 42 for 223. That's actually not bad for what I normally shoot. So my score then was 584 at the start of the year. So 584 out of 900. So I mean, so far the scores have been fairly mediocre, nothing too special. And the one I did today is not good either. But the differences between this round and what I did today, I think are quite dramatic. I'm very pleased with what I've done today. So let's have a look. So today we did the summer shoot at the club. Same round, 6900, and you can probably see already some pretty big changes. There's no whites for one, no misses. So I've actually fixed a lot of my problems. And whoa, it's not great. But coming back, remember, this is like 178 for the first distance. The 216, we've pulled back nearly 40 points. That's, to me, an excellent gain. So 41, 45, 44, 47, 39. This is my crappy end, remember. This is my crappy distance. And I've actually pulled back and got a lot of decent points. At 50 meters, this was a tough one here. 37, this is mostly a wind change. So something happened here in the first end. I couldn't quite get the sight settings right. Next end was okay. 43, 52. That's a nice peak there. 42 and 47. So we balanced it out there for 221. That's a pretty good first two air distances. Now, what happened here was the wind change. It was a warm westerly, and then it changed to a cold southerly, and it was probably twice as strong as the previous wind. So I actually had a hard time adjusting for the elevation, because with the wind changes, you have to consider the direction of the wind, how far it carries the arrow. And you also have to consider the air temperature as well. So we had a cool change at 4 o'clock, and that hit at the last distance. I really struggled in the last distance, which might explain why. At this should be higher than these two. This should be probably 250, but it was 204. So it wasn't horrible, but I struggled here. And I can see that I wasn't shooting anywhere near as well. But there are other factors here which I'll talk about in this reflection. And overall, so the score was 641. So end of January, 584. Incredibly terrible round in my opinion. And then we have 641, and that is a bit more decent. Not a very high score. The Canberra round is quite punishing if you don't shoot well. But 641 of 900 is a big plus. And again, that is probably not as good as the 2015 state short range, where I got 683. But that's my best score and my best rating for the past 4 years, I think, or the past 3 years. So that was a 56.3. That was my competitive peak, and up here is 50.8, and that's actually put me back in the rankings. Now I'm actually ranking Victoria now. Have that? Didn't think I'd do that again. I'm 35th or something, which is not saying much, but I got a ranking now. And actually, you can see the fluctuation. See over the last 4 years. So I think I'm not going to count this one because that's a club shoot, but my peak are these two here. It's about 4 years ago, and then I am starting to see the slump there is huge. The handicap stayed the same basically, but the slump is ginormous. That, especially here, I'm not sure what that was, but that was crap. And then we still fluctuate in the 40s, and then today we get up to the 50 point again. So we're seeing this trend upwards somehow. Okay, so hopefully in the next few months we'll see more events where I'm starting to climb back up to where it was before, and maybe exceed that and drop my handicap. So that is the tail of the tape. So what can we learn from this? There are a couple of things I'll talk about, but let's get some chat going on here. How much wind do you normally get? If you see all my practice videos, I haven't done one for quite a while, but you notice that in all my practice videos, there's a lot of wind. Because it's an open field and there's nothing blocking the wind, it's quite significant. Depends on the day. Some days you have really calm days and you shoot absolutely beautiful. But there are many days where you have a gust of wind and that completely throws you off. And for a recurve archer, that's punishing. And as Byron was pointing before, shooting and shifting wind is difficult. Again, you have like one gentle wind coming this way for half the round, and then you go for a break for your last distance. You come back about 15 minutes later, and you go from soft breeze here to gusting breeze over here. And again, the air temperature also changes. That also changes the way arrows float in the air. So hot air rises. When the air temperature cools down, you'll see a drop as well, especially at longer distances. So there are a lot of things you have to put up with, and Byron pointed out quite well. It's tough. People keep asking for tips on how to shoot and win. I don't have any tips. Basically, don't hold onto the shot for too long. If you hold too long, you'll be blown off more, so try to execute a faster shot. Otherwise, wait for lulls in the breeze. But it's hard to do. You kind of get a feel for it. You kind of sense where the wind is blowing and how much you should aim off to let the arrow be carried towards the gold. But you can only get a feel for that with constant practice and experience. Yeah, thanks, Bobby Book. Practice and training. That's one of the things I'll talk about in a moment after I drink my juice. Consoles. Thank you. Yeah, well, when the wind changes like this, it's one of the things which everybody hates. Even a slight breeze knocks everyone off. And there were several round ends where I had a perfectly good vertical elevation, but the horizontal was like spread out. Like you could put like a ruler across my grouping. So I had from like one blue to one blue, and every shot was like lined up. But the wind, I couldn't predict the wind, and I struggled with it a lot. So that was an interesting experience there. And yeah, so what can I talk about at the moment? So what changed, right? So what made this happen? So there were some positive factors and some negative factors here. So I'll start with the negative factors. One of the negative factors in my experience in this round was that I hadn't eaten all day. This is a big no when you do competition. You've got to make sure you're hydrated. It was fairly warm today, about 31 degrees. So you got to stay hydrated and you got to eat. Okay, you need your energy. Unfortunately, I skipped breakfast. I woke up late. I had to run the line. So we had an instructor there, but I was the number 2 instructor, so I turned up to help out. Because even if I'm not running the line, I feel duty bound to provide some instruction to the intermediate shooters, because there are many people and kids who have bought the gear. They've bought the gear, they've become members, and they need training, but we have no coach anymore, and I'm the senior archer. So I feel even if I'm not running the come and try with the absolute beginners, I feel like I've got to help somebody out, right? On a Saturday where the club runs officially as a club, these people need guidance because they can't figure it out on their own. We have no formal system. Now that we have no coach, we have no formal system to train people who are in the intermediate stage. So I'm trying to do what I can. So I taught people exercise. I did the SPTs with them, showed them how to tune their arrows. So it was a lot of work. And then I went back to the come and try line, organized a shoot-off competition. Lots of fun, especially for the beginners. But it's a lot of energy. On a warm day, you're outside, you're walking around, you're instructing people, you're finding arrows. It's very intense. And by the way, the night before, I was at the school volunteering for the school sleepovers. So I was filming, I was helping out, I was playing dodgeball with the little year 7s, and they've got infinite energy, I don't. So I was already sore from the legs and thighs, and my right arm was chucking like balls at kids. So I was already quite knackered by the time I reached the competition. And I guess I was feeling really angry, or hangry, I guess, hungry, angry, and cranky as well. Because when we started, I was just really disappointed because we made the start time at 12:30. So registration was 11:30, start time was about 12:30. And it was a bit of a mess in organising the entries, because the way we did it this time was we put all the members in and we took them out if they didn't turn up, which was a much harder way of doing so. So we had to do a lot of back-end things to make it work. But I was messed up, and because I was, my complaint, which I haven't voiced yet, but I'll probably do so at some point, was that if you're going to make like a club championship in the afternoon on Saturday, make it in the actual afternoon at 12:30. The people in the morning session have just finished, and there's been no downtime. Now, if we're for those who aren't volunteering, which is basically everybody apart, except for 2 of us, then that's okay, because they can turn up late and not shoot in the morning. But for those of us who turned up in the morning and helped out, we've been running the thing for like 2 hours or 2.5 hours, and we expect to start shooting the competition right away. There's been no break. So I hadn't eaten breakfast, hadn't eaten lunch, was very dehydrated, and we started shooting like a 4-hour round. And I started okay, I was quite good. But we had someone who was shooting and losing a lot of arrows, so we had to find arrows every single end, and that was very exhausting. Again, open field, no shade, no cool breeze. It was quite a physical challenge. But halfway through, I actually legitimately got very angry. I started shooting even better because I was kind of forcing the shots, but my goodness, I was getting really upset because I thought it was really poorly organized. Like when you get stressed and you get upset or distressed, all the small things start piling up. So one of the things which triggered me even more was that when the club people set up the targets on the field, there were 2 targets because there were only 2 groups, so 6 of us. And for some reason, they put the target at the wrong distance. So it's supposed to be 60 meters and 50 meters. It was put on the wrong line. So we had one line that was clearly marked to be the maximum distance. But when we came on the line, our sighting end, we realized that our 60-meter setting didn't work. And it turned out that the target was 5 meters too close. We don't know how it happened. We had marked one line really clearly, so it was a rush. It wasn't well organized, and I mean, I am kind of criticizing my own club here, but most clubs have troubles like this. So going in, I was hungry, I was dehydrated, I was kind of stressed out trying to organize things, and we were shooting. So there were a lot of negatives in the back of my mind. Of course, there's the wind as well. So that also didn't help the mood. But again, halfway through, I was like, you know what? I just want to shoot this, get it over and done with. I wasn't really enjoying it. I was shooting well, but I wasn't enjoying it because there was just too many external pressures. And I think next time I'll probably point out that we should start later to give the people a break. One of my priorities coming out of being a club president and now just being the frontline instructor is you've got to protect your volunteers, and especially your instructors. The instructors are what make the club work, because without them, nobody joins, nobody enters, nobody stays, nobody learns anything. But if you push them to the point where they get upset and there's no time for them to have a break or have a shot on the range, then this sort of thing happens, and I'm not really happy the way we timed it. But that was one of the things in the back of my mind. Let's talk about the positives. So the negatives were weather was hard, wind was hard, mindset was tough, I was very hungry, and I was really cranky. But the plus side was I had prepared better this time around than ever before. And as someone mentioned before, Bubbly Book mentioned before, the return to a regular routine helped a lot. Prior to this event, I'd been training for once a month or 4 times a month. Now I'm doing 4 times a week. I'm trying to 3 to 4 times a week, and that has made an absolutely large difference. This is what I used to love doing, just shooting a lot and making a lot of mistakes, but shooting a lot and learning from those mistakes. And the fact that we had restored a training routine meant that I didn't feel like this shoot was exceptional. I didn't. I mean, even though I hadn't trained at 60 meters for ever since the. I mean, I haven't trained. I mean, I shot 60 at the state championship, but I hadn't shot 60 since. I only shot 50 in the lead up to this event, but I still felt well prepared. I didn't feel like I was losing control of the bow. I had perfect control from first shot to last shot. I didn't feel I was rushing it. I didn't feel strained. I didn't feel like I was injured. And I felt I was in the zone. I was really killing it. I had some issues with the wind in my sight, but I didn't feel like I was really screwing up. Like, all my shots were basically on par, and all the way through I was thinking, you know, I'm shooting the way I used to shoot. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. A lot of positive talk. I was reassuring myself that this is okay, even with the 40 meter distance where the wind picked up there. I didn't feel terrible, but okay, maybe I did, but didn't really trash myself for shooting poorly, because it was a very windy day in that one part of the afternoon. So I could see the results leading up to the event, that I was physically prepared. The 4 weeks of training, the 4 times a week, had given me a lot more conditioning. It had restored my rhythm and shot process. I felt my anchor cutting more tightly and strongly, stuff like that. And my expansion it was a bit shaky at first, but I got the rhythm of it. And every time I released the arrow, it just floated towards the middle somewhere. And it wasn't always a goal, but it wouldn't fly off to the right and miss like I used to do with the other state championships. It would just hit the board. I never missed a shot. Even a bad shot wasn't that bad, and that was a huge comeback for me. This is what I used to shoot like years ago, and now I'm coming back. I'm regaining form. I think all these things were major factors, and I think the regular practice had given me that physical conditioning as well. And this is what Rocket Test has pointed out here. It's given me the mental conditioning, because that's what I really suffered with a lot, was mental conditioning, the mental stamina, the mental fortitude that I started to recover, and I felt it today. I don't feel physically wrecked. Normally after a round I'm exhausted, I've got really sore shoulders, I sleep right away, but I feel quite in control. And the second part, of course, was mentally I felt really good. I came up with the handicap, and this is what surprised me the most. I'm going to show you the event scorecard. I'm going to show you how it works, because a lot of people don't know what the handicap system is. It's just going to be a moment here, because I'm going to grab my event. So we'll explain this using the actual event scorecards where possible. And we'll take questions a bit later. Okay, I'm in the zone here. Okay, we're good. So let's switch to Firefox. Bing. Okay, so what we're looking at here is this column. Sorry, the column called handicap, which you can maybe see here. So the handicap is a rating, and then next to it is allowed. Now, the reason why this works is because, and we'll flick it back over here to my face, hi again. So the handicap is similar to golf's handicap, okay? So you have an expected score, and the handicap is the equalizer. So normally in archery competitions, you win from your top score, your progressive score. So the person with the highest score at the end of the day wins. And that's great when you're competing, you're experienced, you're a top level shooter, you can get a high score. And the people in the same thing is, you know, the people who are top level will stay top level. And as Byron has pointed out here, handicap is extremely difficult to win, because the handicap applies to everybody. It doesn't matter which classification, which age group, which bow type, handicap applies to everybody. That's why a lot of club events will be handicapped. State events won't be. It's basically top score wins, but club events are often handicapped to encourage, 1, participation, and 2, doing better than what you normally do. The way handicap works is, let's say I shoot a round that is a maximum score of 900, and let's say that on average I score 500 out of 900. So the handicap that's generated from my recent results will say that, well, this guy averages this much, so if we add 400 points to his total score, he will get a handicap score of 900, which brings me to where I should be. So the idea of the handicap is that it adds a number of points to get you close to the maximum score. So if the handicap is accurate, that means that if I shoot on average, if I shoot on my normal form and normal results, then I should reach 900 because of this handicap score. If somebody else is shooting exceptionally well, maybe a compound shooter shoots 850 on average out of 900, then the handicap will only add 50 to his score. And likewise, if you shoot like 900 all the time, which you probably can't, it's impossible, but if you shoot a really high score, you get a lower handicap. If you tend to shoot lower, you get a high handicap. And as Byron mentioned, we have a lot of new people that tend to have very high handicap scores because it's starting out there. They might be scoring like 1/4 of the points. They might be averaging 4 points every end, which means that their handicap might be like 700 points, and then they might shoot decently, so they'll get like over the maximum total of points. That isn't the purpose, however. The purpose is that if you shoot above your normal form and average, then the handicap score will exceed the maximum, which means that you are in fact shooting better than what you normally do. That is the purpose of a handicap score. Now, if you look at the scorecards that we have in the competition here, what you see is that we have a couple of handicaps. Now, we have 3 guys who haven't scored before. They have no eligible handicaps. They got 0, so they weren't eligible for the handicap. In the past, we've done things like estimate what they would get, but the result is that we get a very unfair rating where the new guys have like plus 600 points or something, so it's impossible to win a handicap. And we want to encourage people, but it kind of is a broken system. So we're using the official system, and what we have here is we have the 4 people with handicaps. We have the barebow shooter, who has a handicap score of 153, and he's got 870. So that's a pretty good handicap score. That means that the handicap is fairly accurate, and he shot perhaps slightly worse than what he normally does, which is predictable. This is to do with the wind and conditioning and all that, so this is about right. We have a compound shooter who had a 871 handicap, again a very close score to his normal handicap, so it's a bit lower than usual. And then there's me. So I've got a very high handicap score because I've been shooting like crap for the past 2 or 3 years, and I scored 933 out of 900. Now that seems impossible. Remember, this is a handicap score, so that means if I shot to my normal conditioning, I'd be shooting about 30 or 40 points less than the score. I'd be averaging around 600, which we consider my previous results. That's about right. I normally get around between 580 to about 610. So this handicap is fairly accurate, and because I shot better than I normally did over the past 4 or 5 years, then I've exceeded my overall maximum score for a handicap score of 933. And that is why the peak of what I've done today is not the recurve, because again, if only one person competing in recurve, there wasn't competition. But getting this one was a big surprise, because it showcases that I had shot better. I had improved over my average. I've been shooting better than my previous few years, and that is a huge positive sign. It wasn't luck. Archery isn't about luck. You might get luck in a windy day or not one non-windy day, that's different. But I didn't feel that I got a cheap, easy win. What I felt was that it was a well-earned handicap win. I didn't expect to win it because of our broken system. I never win handicap, apart from my very first tournament, but otherwise never ever won handicap. But to come back as an experienced shooter and restore my average and handicap, then that's been a really good win for me. So overall, had a good time at the event. Nice to be shooting at a club event again. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Been really keen to shoot competitions. Am I doing more? I would like to. Now that I've got the confidence again to shoot at outdoor distances, I want to do more of it, and that's the idea. The more I do, the better I become, and that is the message for today. So let's take some final questions. This is a short live stream. These are the reflections, so there's nothing much to really go through, like a Q&A. But we're happy to take questions from our small number of viewers today. War Thunder. Wow. I haven't played that for a while, actually. 2 reasons, or 3 reasons. 1, I'm playing Kingdom Come Deliverance right now. Loving that game. I'll be doing archery pop shots on that in the next few weeks. If I get around to finishing the game, which is a really good game. The second reason is I am getting bored of War Thunder. And the third reason is I have basically covered every tank in the game. That's like 6 tanks I haven't covered. I have the Japanese tanks already recorded. They're not the best games, but they're there. And of course there's a new patch coming out with the new tanks like the M1 Abrams and all that. So yeah, but you know, I'm not really playing War Thunder. I'm basically done after I reviewed the tanks and the remaining vehicles which will be released, and then that's basically it from me. It's been a fairly experience, but I completed my goal. That's basically it. My longest shot, Lucius, 70 meters. I don't shoot more than that. Longest competition round is 90 meters. I haven't done it before, but 70 meters is what I shoot at most. Last few questions. That's actually pretty nice. Actually, I want the watermelon because normally they have a pink watermelon flavor. Watermelon lemonade, and this one is the tropical fruit punch. It's a fruit punch flavor with lemonade. It's a very deep cherry taste. Never like cherry, but it's actually not bad. Got to cut down the sugar intake, but otherwise pretty good. Oh yeah, the whole thing will be bows and KCD. You know, like the whole episode is KCD. So when they are strung, they do not look like longbows. They are longbows. You may be thinking of English longbows, which are a different design. What you see in the game are longbows, as far as I know, but they're not English longbows. But they're quite realistic. I mean, I played without a crosshair, which is the way you're meant to play it, and it's a lot of fun. Absolutely fun to use bows, hunting or shooting at Kumans, or bandits, or getting headshots. Very satisfying. I think one of the most realistic games, and the archery is authentically done. That's what it feels like when you shoot a war bow. But I think there would be longbows. They're not, again. We sometimes get caught up with the English longbow being like the archetype of medieval bows, but there are other bows, short bows and long bows used elsewhere in Europe. So that's a problem discussion in general, and we see people cover things in history and history enthusiasts who talk about historical archery but only talk about like English longbow, and there are actually others. And because KCD is set in Bohemia or the Czech Republic now, what we see in Eastern Europe is a bit of a mix between the horse bows and the regular wooden bows which would have been used. We don't see crossbows, of course, but we see longbows. Sorry, Play Hunter, I missed your question earlier. I was busy talking about other things, so if you want to ask questions now, just repeat that. I have missed the question, so if you want to repeat that, go for it. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, Byron, not so much a question, but a comment. It's amazing how much a winning handicap should validate everything put into archery. Yes, Byron, I agree with that. Like I said, I think like when you have a lot of people who are just starting out, handicaps fluctuate a lot, so it's very hard to win above a beginner. But when you are playing against people who have an established handicap, then it's actually pretty predictable because people normally shoot fairly consistently. Beginners and intermediate archers will fluctuate a lot more, so you have like a top peak, then you have like the average score. But regular shooters will normally score a fairly decent average, and they'll slowly improve. If they work hard, and that's the idea. If you win a handicap or you shoot quite well based on your handicap, it validates what you put in. That's a really good point to make. Thank you, Byron. You got a point there. Rocket fists. I mean, they seem to have a kink, looking more like a recurve than the straight curve of a self bow. It kind of does, I guess. Depends on how you look at it, but you know, I think they're pretty authentically made. Yeah, Kuman bow for the win. I started using one, but now I'm using an Ash longbow. I'll try and find a U longbow. I think that's the most powerful bow in the game. It's a U longbow. Could be wrong there, but according to the wiki, the U longbow has a better stats. And the Kuman bow also has very high stats. So very good bows. I think I switched out. I think the Kuman bow is fantastic though. Player Hunter. Sorry, the question is, speaking of release, do you keep the string in all three joints on the fingers, or just on the joint in the middle finger and more out on the first? Well, it's a complex one. I don't use my first joint. There is a very big difference in the way people hook the string, and I will probably one day do a video about different hooks, because the way you taught and what you prefer personally will differ. You see a lot of diagrams show the string on the first joint of the finger, but many people find it uncomfortable. I've got my Samic Sage here. I'll talk about that. I've mentioned it a few times in live streams, but it's worth talking about it again. So let's do it this way. Yeah. Okay, so you see the hook here, right? So that's the knocking point. So what you're thinking of is the joint like that. A lot of diagrams show this, and people draw like that. I personally don't do that. What I actually do is close to this. So I've got the first joint on the index finger, then I've got probably close to the middle here. So kind of like just on the joint, then on the pad, perhaps joint and pad on the middle finger, and then just on the pad of the ring finger. That's what I actually normally do. This is what you normally see more of in the best method, or the NTS method taught by Casey Lee. So a lot of target shooters will shoot more like this rather than like this. So trad shooters tend to be taught like this. That's fine. It's a very powerful draw. But target shooters have more variation in what they do. So there's no real correct way. So feel free to experiment more with more fingertip. I would avoid the all fingertip rule, because when you come to full draw, you put a lot more pressure on the pads of your fingers. That's a much weaker grip, so you find it slipping a lot easier. Whereas when you do it here on the first grip, then again, that's what I normally do. So it's just on the first joint, then a deeper hook on the joint of the middle finger, and then perhaps on the pad on the ring finger. That's my best view for you there. That's what I normally do for my target recurve. Not my trad bows, but for my target recurve. Some of my habits do cross over the trad, although I do tend to shoot a different style for trad bare bow than what I do for my Olympic recurve. So hopefully that answers your question. I'll get back to the second part later. So Player Hunter, I can hook in the groove on all three fingers, which will tend to make my release clumsy. Yeah, that's what I said. So you don't have to go on the joints. You can adjust the position of the string on your other fingers depending on what makes you feel comfortable. Just remember, it's a balance between control, power, and release. Okay, so if you want more control on the shot, then you might need a deeper hook, but a deeper hook might mean a harder release. So you need to kind of play around with which string position best suits you. All right, where were we? Yeah, Rocket Fist. One issue that player is that people tend to have different length ring and index fingers, so one size doesn't fit all. Absolutely right. Res, how much time should a beginner practice each day? Depends on what form of practice you're doing. If you're doing shooting, then depends on your shooting. If you're doing backyard shooting, half an hour is fine. But if you're doing an actual shooting range, if you actually go to club and shoot around or range, at the range, then I recommend at least an hour. But a decent session is around 2 hours. I mean, if you shoot a round, it takes around 2 or 3 hours anyway. So, in my opinion, anything less than an hour is not a very worthwhile training session. Less than an hour might be okay for a shoot, but for training, you kind of need to have a bit more time. I do strongly recommend you have more regular training rather than longer training, but if you are going to go to a range and shoot, then an hour at least is what I would expect from people trying to progress. Now, for other things, if you're not shooting and you're doing exercises like SPTs or stretching exercises or holding exercises, then maybe I normally say people start half an hour a night, then try to increase to 1 hour per night where possible, because that's regular physical conditioning. It makes a difference. Someone who does, say, SPTs every day, they don't shoot, will come back and shoot with far more confidence, strength, and control than someone who just shoots once a week. Huge difference. Back when I did SPTs regularly, that's the reason why I advanced the level I did, and then I stopped, and then I haven't done it ever since. I just can't summon the time, the energy, or the motivation to do so, and that's kind of my fault. But I recognize that my form will slip because I'm not conditioning regularly. So you need to have regular practice, regular training. The length isn't so important, but frequency is. If you are going to go for length, try for an hour at least, and try to set goals for yourself. Don't just like shoot for no reason. Shooting without a goal kind of leads you to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Try to score. If you're not going to score, then set some kind of physical thing, like put a paper plate or a cup on the target and try to land all your arrows in that target, because you need to do things which show you're improving. Many people just shoot and go, oh, I'm doing okay, but there's no benchmark, there's no metric or measurement. So you need to give yourself a way to say that I'm improving. Okay, where are we? Yeah, the Kumbo shoot pretty flat. Where was I? Yeah, the Cuban bows are a bit large, but they look really nice. I mean, the first bow I grabbed was a Cuban bow, because it looked really cool. It's a horse bow. I bought a horse bow, so it kind of reminded me of that. It's nice. Oops. SPT. I've explained it quite a few times in my other live streams. I don't want to do it again. There are 4 exercises for SPTs. I recommend you look up the KeySickly website. Let me punch it in very quickly. I seem to do this every live stream, so I'm gonna do like a video on this one day. Okay, Firefox, bing. Okay, so the KSL International website. This is the website here, KSLinternationalarchery.com. Check out the SPTs, physical training. A lot of pro shooters do this. There are 4 exercises: endurance, power, flexibility, and structure, and I'll explain what each one does. Okay, so you can read the instructions here. I will showcase these techniques again. Here we go. All right, so no, not that. Okay, here we go. So exercise 1. Let me stand back a bit. So exercise 1 is endurance. Basically, pull the bow back. Let me put a glove on actually, because this is a fairly heavy draw weight, and I don't want to demonstrate with my bare fingers because it's not going to be as good. And bear in mind, I'm pretty tired from the whole tournament, so I don't want to do this again tonight. But for those who are curious about SPTs, this is what you do. There are 4 exercises. Number 1 is, you can do this by the way with a trad bow, so you don't have to be an Olympic shooter to do this. You can do this with any bow. So number 1 is endurance. All you do is pull it back and hold it. Oh, yeah, archery muscles. Let's not do that again. Let's try slow this time. So, oh man, I'm tired. Here we go. So hold it for full draw for 30 seconds. Which I'm not going to do. And then you let down, you rest for 30 seconds to a minute, and then you do it again. Now the idea of this is to push yourself so that you maybe you only hold for 30 seconds. Then you hold for 45 seconds, then 1 minute. So this will increase the endurance, which is a different thing from power. So you do, let's say 5 to 10 reps, and you rest, and you might do 5 to 10 sets. So you do like this, you hold that maybe 5 times, 30 seconds each, let down, rest, do it again, repeat 5 times. And then you might do that for 5 sets. It takes around half an hour to do. So that's one thing you do for SPTs. The second thing is strength or power. It's basically doing rows or weight training. So you basically you pull it back to full draw, and then you let down. Full draw, let down, full draw, let down. Again, do around 10 to 15 reps. You rest, and then you do it again for about 5 to 10 sets, depending on your time and your endurance. So that's 2 exercises. Number 3 is flexibility. You come to full draw, and then you pull an extra couple of millimeters. So full draw, bit further, then relax, bit further, then relax, and repeat that 10 to 15 times. Again, same sets. The last exercise, so that went off. The last exercise is alignment. This is weird. You do this with an Olympic bow, but what you do is basically you draw the bow behind your head. So what you do is go behind your head and pull the bow like this. Looks weird, I know. I'll show from the back. Okay. So what you do is pull the bow and draw it behind your head, like that. And the reason you do that is that when you have a draw behind your head, it shows you your shoulder alignment like here, alright? So watch it again. Behind the head, draw back. So this shoulder position, that shoulder position is what you should feel when you're executing a normal shot. So those are 4 exercises: endurance, strength, flexibility, alignment. That is SPT, or specific purpose training. It has been taught by Keith Lee, used by anyone using the best method, KSL method, NTS, whatever you call it. And many international pro shooters do it. It is something which people don't talk about because it's kind of a daily grind. But when you're not shooting, you should be doing some kind of training. And that is something you can do. It might take an hour, half an hour to an hour. If you can't do an hour, then pick like one exercise and do it for half an hour a day. And cycle through them when you can. Or do less exercises, but more variety. You choose. And hopefully that helps. I think you got it right. So, that's it. Whew, oh wow. Tired there. Alright. What is my favorite kind of everything? Archery juice? I actually don't know really. I mean, recently it's been raspberry coke, but that's a limited edition. But I normally just have water when I shoot in the range where possible, because hydration is important. You don't want sugar. But otherwise, when I'm doing streams, fruit juices. I like apple juice. I've been craving orange recently, and probably cranberry is nice too. So raspberry, cranberry, a lot of berries I really like for archery juice. Favorite string wax, I'm using Flex right now, which is the scented wax, nice and soft mostly, and smells nice on your fingertips. Favorite paper target, I should send a feeder, nothing special there. And our June range grass, we barely have grass in our range, so no comment there. As long as it's freshly mowed with clear lines, I don't care too much. Yeah, Byron, the cup gun is great. It's again the cup is a challenge. You stand close, you pin the cup on the target. Once you get all 3 arrows in, you step back, and that's part of the competition. It's a self thing, so aim. The whole thing about aim small, miss small applies to the paper cup. Very interesting thing. Okay, for just another nickel 382. For those who joined in, what have I learned about the original topic of the live feed? So the whole point of this feed was that I have just won my 2 awards from today's shoot. And the recurve was a one-man race, so that was easy. But the handicap meant, yeah, I shot better than I normally do. So the gist of this as a summary was that I've gone from training like once a week to 4 times a week, from 4 times a month to 4 times a week. You see big changes when you commit time and shoot regularly. You cannot expect to achieve high results if you're only putting in an hour a week or 2 hours a week. That is nowhere near enough time to maintain form. Forget about trying to improve form. So because I've been putting a lot of time in the range recently, and I'm very tanned. You've been seeing my recent thumbnails on my videos. I'm very tanned. That's just been what we did today was a competition which had the result of that dedication to physical and mental conditioning. So today I shot better than what I normally did. I'm at the point where I'm probably at my best since the last 3 or 4 years, and I'm not a great archer, but at least I'm now shooting at the average level, which I've been falling off for years, and coming back to a competitive level after like 3 or 4 years absence is a great feeling. So that's the gist of what the live stream was about. Lucius, some of my arrows tend to fly a little to the left. What are you doing wrong? It could be your spine rating. If you're a right-handed archer and your arrows are too stiff, your arrows will tend to fly to the left. It might also be something to do with your alignment or plunger alignment, and it might be to do with the way you release. You might pluck the string, you might swing the bow when you expand, and you tend to swing left. I don't know. Like, people ask me, my arrows go left, my arrows go right. What's wrong, NUSensei? I can't tell you what's wrong. I can only theorize, and basically I'm giving you so many answers, which doesn't actually help. My first assumption is normally stiff arrow, but until I see it, I don't know it. And yeah, definitely sunscreen. I had sunscreen on, thankfully, but I tan naturally. So I don't burn, I tan. It takes me a lot of exposure to burn. I've probably been sunburned once when I was in camp at Anglesey, in your right beach, basically a beach camp, and there was sun all the time, and I was peeling off then, but I've never burnt since. Yeah. Alright, well, I reckon it's been an hour now, actually. A pretty nice feed. Some good training tips there. Hopefully you found it interesting. We'll do some last questions, and we're in on the hour, if there aren't anything else. Do apologize for the lack of archery videos lately. I've been making archery videos, but this is the downside of training 4 times a week. Basically, all the days I would normally film are now training days, and training takes precedence over filming. As much as I want to make a video on arrow spine or things like SBTs, those take time, and if I have a choice between making the video and training, I'm going to train. I have to prioritize, and that's why things are slowing down a bit there. I've got a lot of really good ideas, but I'm just trying to train, and priorities are there. Yeah, Byron's spot on tonight. A lot of the variation is left to right is to do with anchor. If it's lazy or you're loose, then you are going to slide left or right. You've got to really come in and feel the anchor point sit tightly, because any fluctuation here, even a slight one, like you might come in here, anchor, but it might be slightly forward or slightly left, that will throw your shot off because your release is completely wrong. But otherwise, yeah, I can't really tell Lucy's, unfortunately, but those are some of my theories there. Any more questions? Otherwise, I'll be going back to KCD, trying to hunt deer and do other side quests. Absolutely fun game, really good game. As much as I dislike the save system, I'm used to it now. But I'm just kind of still anxious when I play, because there might be a quest glitch where you can't save the game, you can't quit the game, and I've had I've been stuck on fences and stuff, so it's really nerve-wracking to play. It's like writing a Word document not saved for like 5 minutes. You get really paranoid. Great game though. Really a one of a kind at the moment. Nothing quite like it I've seen. I became the master huntsman, and it felt so good because I earned that. To be a blacksmith and then being appointed by your lord to become a huntsman just felt great. Unfortunately, you're still poaching, so I think something's wrong with the game code, so that's kind of glitched. Otherwise, great. How's the thumb release going? I haven't been doing thumb shooting for a while. Again, because of my routine, I normally shoot my Olympic recurve on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. I would often shoot a trad bow, and recently it's been the thumb draw, the Mongolian bow, on Saturday, because on Saturday I'm running the line for the beginners, so I don't have time to shoot. So I normally bring it out, might fling a couple of arrows, but I don't really train in it. So I only have so much time to train. All my training time goes to Olympic archery. Trad shooting and thumb draw shooting is a fun thing to break it up a bit, but I don't expect to become good at these things. That said, I am expecting some thumb rings to arrive from Vermont Archery. I'm getting some nice ones, the Classic and the Victory, which have been very good. You've seen them on Armin's channel on Malta Archery. He's seen some good reviews, so I'll be using a few more rings in the next few weeks, hopefully. So I might go back to that, but again, time, priorities. So I haven't done much. Have I played Chumps? Yes. Chumps is fun. Nice way to level up bow. Unfortunately, there's no one perks for bows. I mean, like, you can level up bows fairly quickly playing Chumps. You can get like 1 level per win, which is a really easy way to level up. It's probably the fastest way, because doing an archery practice or competition doesn't give you any archery points, which is weird, and any bow points. But Chumps give you bow experience. So yeah, I've played quite a few times. So I win every time. It's not, once you know how to do it, it's quite easy. But it's yeah. Unfortunately, for some reason, like the people of the Dechko really hate me. Like every time I go through town, the guards arrest me. I'm not sure what I did, and this is one of the problems I have with the game is you sometimes don't know why people stop hating you. Now sometimes it's a quest, sometimes you do something, and I don't know. Like recently, I went through the town of Zempeko, and I was told I was being attacked. So I pulled my bow out and I pointed a bow at a person holding a door hook. And unfortunately, this person was a citizen, not an enemy. He looked like a bandit because bandits carry the hooks all the time, the bills. But he was not a bandit. So unfortunately, he ran away, and they put a warrant on my head. No, I didn't fight, I didn't kill him, I didn't shoot him, just ran away. But that was confusing because I was told I was being attacked, but there was no one around me, and the first person I saw was actually a good guy. So lost some street cred there. But yeah, like Ledechko, not sure what happened there. They all hate me. I have no way to recover my reputation unless I go to prison. I have no intention of doing so because the town's pretty useless anyway. And it's an easy way to like get practice against guards because the guards always fight me. There's like 6 of them, and it's nice to train your weapon skill because like it's very hard to find enemies to fight to train your weapon skill. And unfortunately, Sir Bernard is not a good source. He's good to start with, but when you're strong enough, you basically beat him like 2 hits, and you don't get enough experience unless you want to spend hours like killing him twice to beat him. Very unproductive. So I want to fight bandits and stuff to get more experience. How long do Olympians practice per day? I don't know. I'm not an Olympian, but you expect hours. You know, depends on how much how professional they are. If they're part-time or amateur, then it's far less. They're trying to do like every day, an hour or 2. Depends on how much of your life you dedicate to archery. There's no answer to this one here because there are Olympians who are basically, you know, they have a full-time job elsewhere, and then they'll train in every spare minute of their day. There are others who are full-time archers. Now, people are sponsored to compete, they get prize money, so they can sustain their archery a lot more. Someone like me, for example, I'm a full-time teacher, so I don't have time to do archery. I can't expect to be as good. So there's no one answer for that question there. How much do I spend on arrows per year? I actually don't buy many arrows. I might buy like 1 set, and I won't buy more arrows unless I run out of arrows. So I've been shooting my X10s, and I have bought 1 set. I haven't bought a second one yet. So my big purchase for X10, which might be like, you know, $800 for a dozen or something, fully fledged. That's no joke there. That's you know, it's a lot, but I don't expect to burn or break them. Now I'm down to like 6 or 7. That's my fault, but yeah, I don't spend much on arrows. I'm mostly buying arrows for my other bows, and again, unless you need to buy more tune or change your arrows, you don't spend much on arrows. You basically have a good upfront investment to buy the right arrows, and it stays for you for as long as you can keep them. Do you archers make any money as sports persons? What kind of sponsorships do you world-class archers get? Again, depends on your level. If you win a lot of tournaments and you get high rankings, then you can approach sponsors or vice versa, and it's typically always archery sponsors. You don't get like general apparel. Like for example, a tennis player might be approached by Adidas or Nike or Reebok, but an archer isn't going to be sponsored by apparel. There are very few companies that are interested in sponsoring archers. It's mostly archery companies sponsoring archers. So you might be sponsored by Hoyt or Win and Win, or a different company, PEC maybe, depending if you're compound or not. And yeah, it's a typical brand sponsor. You don't normally get sponsors for anything else. But money isn't easy to come by in archery. You need to kind of make ends meet elsewhere. Yeah, Vantek is. I mean, you don't make that much money. I mean, you can make more money from selling armor, and especially if back when if you ever get around to doing the final bandit quest, when you go to Sasa Monastery, you get like 900 groschen for doing the bandit quest, and you get 625 groschen for every ear you bring. So if you kill like all 8 bandits in the camp, that's a ton of money. And I became rich from doing that quest. It was actually a very hard quest for me to do because I was a bit underleveled, but that solved all my money problems. And since then, this is basically killing bandits, selling armor. Sorry, I'm just side story. Yeah, Rocket Fist is mentioned there. Grizzly Jim. Grizzly Jim's a little different because he invests a lot in his personal equipment, and he invests a lot of time and money into his business. For example, if I wanted to go to the Olympic Games, I can be self-funded. I've saved enough money as a full-time professional to travel, and if I want to compete for like a year or 2 years, I could. I'm not gonna run out of money. I'm not rich. I just haven't spent money on anything, so I just earn money, it accumulates in my bank account. I might buy the occasional bow, but yeah, I might buy the occasional bow, but I don't feel like I'm like bound to ask or sell my stuff to make money. Grizzly Jim's in a different situation. He's a family man, he's a father, he started a business, so he was in a much more difficult situation. So his finances are probably a lot more average. So to fund him, he'd have to do some extreme things like sell his bows. But for me, I don't have to sell anything, so it depends on the person and their financial situation. For those who work full-time and have time to shoot and compete, then they can get away with that. But again, many of the competitive archers at world level spend more time shooting and practicing, and then there might be students, so they can't work and have money, or there might be mostly archers who rely on like crowdfunding or sponsorships. So that sort of thing can help. But you have to be really good, and you have this thing where if you're not that good, you're not going to get any attention, you're not going to get any sponsorships or support. That's how it works. Yeah, I took a pretty hard tangent there. I'm juggling between KCD and real life, so real life's a pretty funny game. Thanks, Nickel. Thank you for the awards. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it was nice. Didn't expect it, but really nice to see. And I have heard a rumor that a lot of people don't like me apparently, which is fine. I don't care too much about that one. But a few people on this side of the country told me to stop making videos. Interesting enough. I will consider your opinions carefully. Competing in UK, that'd be fun. One thing I might want to do one day is to like just travel. Like when I have enough long service time and maybe I'm a bit older and more experienced, I might travel Europe and shoot at German competitions, French, Britain, just hang around clubs, visit clubs, still like a club world tour or something. But I want to become good first. Otherwise, I'm like, what's the appeal? Like this is a random journeyman appearing in your club. Imagine like this in the middle of England, this Asian guy pops up and shoots his recurve. Doesn't make any sense to do that, but it'd be fun one day, maybe. In the meantime, send me your club shirt. I keep saying that I want to do my club shirt out thing again this year, but I haven't time to announce it. So, but I'm still accepting club shirts. The last one I got was from France, which is a beautiful shirt. I haven't worn it for a while either, but again, nice to collect different shirts. Where am I from? I'm from Australia, and that place down under. What you might not know is that I'm in fact, because I'm on the other side of the world, I'm upside down. But because YouTube knows I'm from Australia, it automatically flips the image upside down so that you see things the correct way. But I'm actually, you know, that way. The reason why I don't fall off is I'm wearing special socks at the moment, which keep my feet on the ground. I love when people poke fun at Australians. Yeah. Oh really? The twin. Oh, where's the 2019 World Championships tools? Because like, I mean, sometimes I like out, but like, I mean, like, Melbourne doesn't really have like venues. We have one big venue, but a lot of the championships, like the nationals, because they take place outside the city. There's one really huge range in Twin Cities, Morwell, but they do the nationals there. But we haven't seen nationals here for quite a while. Grow a beard. You know how long that would take? I mean, as an Asian, right? It'll take me like years, decades to grow a beard. I haven't really tried. Like, I prefer a clean look. I find maybe it looks less attractive, but I find it more disciplined, and I find that you know, as someone who is middle aged, I guess I'm approaching middle age. That I guess facial hair is fairly normal, but I guess I want to keep that young look, and the parents love seeing that. The parents I work with, so this youthful guy who's very well disciplined and all that. Oh, I was in the Netherlands. I didn't know that. Yeah. Does Den Bosch have a big archery club? That's the thing, right? Because actually no, a world championship doesn't need an archery club. They build the venue. It's a temporary venue. But that's interesting actually. I didn't know that. Rocket fist. I look like Chinese in Japan. I'm Vietnamese, but I was born and live in Australia. That explains the accent, in case you're wondering. People keep asking, where is the accent from? I've had things from like a British to South African. That's an interesting one to have. But yeah. Good point, Rocket Fist. Beards get in the way of anchor point sometimes. I mean, even this kind of like, you kind of shave off a bit each time. You have this one clean skin patch. The rest of your face will grimy with just one clean patch. It's like these South Korean women. They have a lot of white foundation on their face, so they often get like black marks on their face. Not because of the string, but because the string wipes off the foundation. So it's got a darker patch. If the World Championships are in Den Bosch, then it's probably going to be a mostly self-made venue. Like they don't really, because the championships they take place in specially constructed venues, like in Beijing, for example, and Antalya in Turkey. They don't shoot at an archery club. I'm not sure about the ranking rounds, but the finals are done in a specially constructed venue. So I don't think it's actually you don't need that much. I need to do more of this. I've got the arrow counter for excess wings, a special gift. You basically push the button every time you shoot an arrow. And this is a very good way to keep track of training. So if you're counting arrows for volume, you might go, I shot 6 arrows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very easy way to keep track of your arrows. I haven't used it yet though, but if you're counting, really cool tool to have. Buy for like $5. And excess wings sent me like 2. I thought I bought it by accident, but it's a gift from Excess Wings when you buy it. I've got like a banner, I've got 2 of these arrow counters, got a second over here, same thing. And I've got like 20 of these key rings, you know, so it's pretty hardcore with the stuff they have there. Is that magnetic? No, it's not. This thing, the thing I have is magnetic. I didn't know that. This is magnetic. Huh. Cool. Wins 1.77? I don't know. What is an archery reflection? When you look at your bow in the mirror, it's an archery reflection. By the way, remember the strings you made on the live streams, and we named the bows? It's been very popular. Like, people come back and they have a favorite string and favorite bow. It's working well. Bubblegum, Bumblebee, Hulk, Blood Rose, Nightshade. They know the names and they have favorite bows. So the idea worked. It's very popular. Hey, Hakase. You started archery because of me. Thank you. You love archery. Very good. And please shout out that shooting in the living room will kill TV. So please warn people. Yep. Shooting in living rooms is bad for TV. Don't do it. If you do it, try to put a target in front of the TV. Don't shoot at the TV. The TV is good for Wii archery. Don't do it for real archery. There's a big difference there between Wii and real. Alright, well, it's been an hour and 13. It's about 11 PM right now, which is alright. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I'll probably squeeze in a bit more KCD, but I reckon I'll probably sleep pretty early. Maybe make a video tomorrow. I'm not booked up to train tomorrow, so maybe I'll do some extra training. Maybe. But otherwise, thank you for following along with me. I hope you enjoyed this reflection. It's been a very good day to shoot. And one more question: how much of your archery reflection is based on being a teacher and being used to doing art lesson reflections? None. People, good learners reflect on the learning regardless. All right. So while as a teacher, we're told to include reflections in your learning, it's a habit which successful people have. So it's not based on me reflecting because I'm a teacher. It's me reflecting because as a person I reflect. Good question though. Anything else? Alright, that's it. So thank you all for following me. I will hope to do a live stream again at some point. Not sure what topic will be, but really good to see people follow along. Hopefully you learn from this reflection. The point is that the more you practice, the better you become. And there's no point in being denial about not practicing enough. If you know you're not practicing enough, you can't expect top results. But if you want top results, then you need to practice. This is NUSensei. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.